Good morning. Happy day one of the Raccoon in coloured pencil workshop. I'm so excited. I don't think I've run one of these workshops in at least, gosh, it could be kind of 7-8 months now. So I'm really determined to get back into this because I do love them so much, and it's so lovely to interact with you all and to have a little chat as I draw, because most of the time it's just me on my own at my desk. So it's really lovely to be able to speak to people and draw like-minded artists. We can all have a chat about the amazing world of coloured pencils, of drawing, of art, of creativity. That's what it's all about, really. So welcome. I'm just going to leave it a couple of minutes for a few people to join us. Hopefully a few of you can join me live. If not, if you are watching on the replay, which I've had quite a few messages saying that obviously people are at work, or maybe the time zone doesn't work for them, they'd have to get up in the middle of the night, which is amazing that you get the reach to all of the other countries of the world. Fantastic. Then if you are watching on replay, please do say hello and please do ask your questions, because I will go back and have a look at them and answer as many as I can. So yeah, just comment as though you are watching me live, but I really hope you enjoy this. I've chosen a subject. I did a poll a few months ago in the group just to work out what it is that people like. The subject, a lot of people said wildlife, a lot of people said fur, what you had trouble with, creating depth, getting rid of graininess, creating a glassy look in the eyes, all of the different textures that are going on. So that's what I've come up with today, and in the next one we might do a bird, or we might do something else. We might use different pencils, I don't know, we'll see. So let me just double check that I am actually live, because you just never know with Facebook. It just wouldn't let me in just now. So I was thinking, oh my goodness, am I actually going to be... Oh, I am live. Oh, fantastic. Can you all hear me? Can you all see me okay? Fingers crossed. I've got a little bit of a different setup with my phone this time. I've got a branch arm coming over the top, so please bear with me when I turn it around and show you the raccoon, because there might be a little bit of fiddling. My phone keeps turning around, which is very annoying, but we will work it out together, don't you worry, but just bear with me. Please do, if you are watching live, like or love, why like when you can love, this video, and also comment as much as you can, because what that does is it sends it out to the rest of the group. I don't know if you've noticed, when you post your stuff in Artist Community, the lovely Facebook algorithm now only shows about 5% of the people that are actually in the group. So the more people that comment, the more that we can support each other, the more it's going to be pushed out to the other people as well. So it's all about that support system, supporting each other as artists, giving each other a lift. I just feel so passionate about the umbrella of doing what you can to make yourself feel good, feel better, feel supported, feel part of community. I think during the last couple of years, it's been more important than ever to have that connection with people. I'm naturally an introvert. I know you probably don't think that as I'm doing a live, and you think, I don't know if I could do this, but this has taken a lot of practice, and I still get nervous. And I remember my first live, I was shaking for a week beforehand. It took me ages to press the button. I am naturally an introvert, but I am one of those people that I kind of like my own company. I like doing things on my own. I like peace and quiet, but I know that I can get too caught up in that, and I end up turning into a bit of a hermit, which, although seems okay at the time, it's not good. We need human connection, we need community. It's one of our basic human needs to feel part of something, and it definitely gives me a massive boost and a lift when I know that there are people around me, and I hope that you feel the same way too, because it is so important to have each other, especially in the art community, which can be a little bit don't know, critiquey, negativity. I'm not into all of that. I want to build you up and boost you up and give you confidence so that you want to do more and more and more. If somebody puts you down, it kind of makes you reluctant to do that thing again. And that's not what this group is about. It's all about positivity and how you can feel good and feel better. So please do say hello. I'm just going to move in a bit. Sorry, it's going to be a bit close so that I can read any comments that are coming in, because I can't see them on my phone. Oh, good morning, Nisha. Hi. Oh, here we... Oh, it's lovely to see some familiar names. Haven't been able to draw much after the Robin and Holly. Is that the last workshop? Oh, Oh my goodness. Looking forward to pick up pencils again. Fantastic. If I can encourage people to draw more and create more, then this is what this is all about. Good morning, Leslie. Lovely to see you. Good morning, Kate. Yeah, you're here. Oh, lovely. Oh, good morning, Karen. Coming through loud and clear. Not too loud, I hope. Getting a bit excited. This is just such a thrill. It's just so lovely to be able to talk with you all. When does it start? Any minute now. Once I stop talking, it's going to start any minute now. But I'm just waiting for people to jump on, and then we will get started. Do you have everything ready? Totally get what you said just now. Miss the human connection. Totally. It's really important. I don't think we realise just how important it is until we connect again and think, oh gosh, this is absolutely filling me up. This is what I need. Some positivity, some connection, and human contact, because we have been starved of it. Good morning, Marilyn. Lovely to see you. Good morning, Margaret. How are you? I hope you are well. I don't know if I've seen all the comments. Keep them coming because I will keep checking. Do you have everything ready? What I wanted to do was try and keep it as simple as possible. So I'm just going to be using polychromos for this. Maybe the odd little one. I know a lot of you do have the luminance as well. But I thought I'd keep it as simple as possible by just using one set of pencils, because there are so many on the market, and I'm going to be using my favourite Daler-Rowney Smooth Heavyweight paper, which is such a good all-rounder. If you're new to coloured pencils and you don't want to spend a fortune, then that is such a good paper to use, because it's got a bit of texture. You can get the details in with the polychromos. It's mixed media, so you can actually put some wet, you can use solvent on it as well if you want to. It doesn't bow too much. So yeah, just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. I am going to be doing a little bit of a giveaway. So if you like or love this video, put in a comment, whatever comment, even if it's hello. Then you will be entered into a draw. If you like and love once, if you comment, you'll be entered twice. And I'm going to be giving away a month's free membership in my Mindful Artist membership, which is a little bit more of this. I could probably talk a little bit about that at the end. And then second prize is going to be a month's free in my Joy of Drawing membership, which is kind of like a less interactive version. It's just got the tutorials, and it's a growing library. It's been running getting on for a year now, so there's lots of tutorials for you to get stuck into, because if I can encourage you to draw more, then that as my job done. Right, shall we get started? Have you got your pencils ready? Right, wish me luck, because I'm going to have to turn the camera around, and then I'm actually going to have to, I don't know if I'm going to turn it around actually. Yes, I'm probably going to have to flip it again. Let's see, so I'm going to be having a look. So you've got to turn it around. This is just typical. Don't want to be upside down, do we? I'm waiting for the delay on Facebook, and I need to be able to see what I'm doing. So let's have a look. I might have to move it up a little bit. There's a delay on Facebook, and I need to be able to not let my phone get in the way. Let me see if I can get in a bit closer. Just tighten everything up. How's that looking? Can everybody see? Where's the camera? Right, I think what we're going to start with, I might have to fiddle around with it once the delay is there. Just a sip of tea. What I'm going to start with is actually the eyes. Can you see okay? Let me know. I don't want to block out my light. Will the recording be available? Yep. It's a mirror image for you. Yes, of course it is. Good point. Yes, it will be available in the group. I will keep it. I will hopefully put it in the guide section, if I can remember how to do that. But yeah, I'm not going to take it out of the group or anything, so you can watch it at any time. Is there anything I can do about the mirror? Does anybody know? Sorry about this, I'm upside down. No, I think you have to go into settings. I don't know how to do that. If anyone knows how to do it and it's really easy and I don't lose connection, then please do let me know. All this technology, I don't know. It'd be nice if you could just see the drawing and have someone do all of that for you. So I'm going to try and bear in mind that you are mirrored. But we're going to start with the eyes today, hopefully get a little bit of the nose done as well. So the most important thing to think about when you're drawing the eyes is to get that glassy look, to make sure that we don't have any graininess showing, because it will just stand out a mile. We want the eyes to be lovely and clear and glassy. I think what I'm going to do first of all is just map in where everything is, and then we can start filling it in. So I've got my pencil marks. I'm just going to lift it up a little bit. I don't want to lift it up too much just for the camera because I want you to be able to see, but I don't want it to show through. So if your pencil sketch is pretty dark, which mine always is, then lift that up now. So I'm going to start with the bigger of the eyes. It's on my right, but possibly your left. It's weird, it looks like I'm drawing with my left hand. So I'm going to outline the eye now. Just going to put that in. I'm using the Cold Grey 3, which is, oh gosh, I wish I could see with the shine, 232. And just outlining where the eye is. Should I bring it more that way? Or is it the other way? Just outlining where the outer edge is. I don't know if you've noticed, but on this raccoon drawing, it blends into the black and it kind of disappears. So that was quite interesting. I started it yesterday, or the day before, just to see. It's nice to get a little bit of practice in. So before you go live, because it's always a little bit nerve-wracking if you just do a drawing for the first time in front of everybody. It's just nice to get a hand in. I don't know if you've noticed when you start a new drawing, it takes a little while to get into it. So I'm outlining the iris of the eye, I'm outlining the outer edge of the eye, and then in this corner, and it's the same the other side, I'm going to do the other one. I'm going to work at the same time with the eyes. Normally I completely finish one, but because these are so small, I think we can get them done pretty quickly. There is a little bit of a catch light down here in the tear duct. That's really important to put in. It all depends on the screen that you're using as to how much detail shows up. Generally on my PC, I don't see as much detail. So it's nice to switch between my phone and my PC. I've got it on my kind of really old Kindle at the moment, and I'm actually seeing quite a lot of detail. So I'm going to make sure that these catch lights are marked in. Use a really light hand because that will show up. We don't want to indent the paper, and we don't want to press too hard so we've got a real big outline. Both eyes show the same Oh, morning Roger, how lovely. If you're using a mobile, we switch to main camera instead of the front one. Need to change the camera direction on phone. Camera direction on phone. Problem is, if I turn it around, then all you're going to see is like the thing that's holding it. So I can't really do that. I might try and do that tomorrow if I can get it set up before. I did have a play with it, but it was working fine then. I'm not a big fan of technology, as you can probably see. But as long as you can see me, that's all that matters. And also the biggest problem with the camera is that I can see what I'm doing, because most of the time your phone then covers the drawing completely, and then you can't even get your hand in. So that's the biggest issue for me at the moment. just being able to see what I'm doing. So with this cold grey, because a lot of the middle section or the lower section of the eye is pretty dark, I'm just going to start adding this in, small circles, light hand, because we need to build up through the layers with coloured pencil, and building up the layers is going to give us depth, it's going to take away the graininess. If we just went straight in with the black, it can look a little bit flat. It can be a lot of work to get rid of the graininess, and it doesn't really go that easily. It's much better to start, because the paper's got a tooth, which means it's got kind of peaks and troughs. If you put it under a microscope, it would look like mountains. So what we're doing is we're filling in the troughs of the paper. We're filling in the gaps so that we end up with a lovely smooth end result. So just using the Cold Grey 3 to fill in the darkest parts. We're going to put a couple of layers in both sides. And then actually in the waterline at the bottom, there's a little bit of darkness. We can add that in. There's a little bit of detail around the catch light. Make sure when you're doing something that you're leaving free, you leave it bigger than you think you do, because you can only go as fine as your pencil tip, and you'll find that you'll fill in those gaps a little bit too easily, and then they're harder to lift up. We've got quite a few lines going on here. Now, depending on how big your drawing is, as to how many details you can get in, because some of them you just won't be able to get in that many details if you're doing a small drawing. Right, I'm actually going to move on to the blue in the reflection of the eye. So you can see there's some sky or something going on. I'm using the sky blue because it's a really light, natural colour. You can't go far wrong with it. It's always better to start light and then build up into the darker colours, because it's easier to lift up. If you start going straight in with the darker colours. Oh, morning Lindsay, sorry you're late. Oh, no problem at all. I'm going to keep it in the group so you can catch up, but we've literally only just started. I'm going to add this sky blue to the waterline as well. In the bottom, there's a touch of blue going on there. And I find that if you use similar colours throughout your drawing, so even if you're thinking that's possibly a different blue, if you add a similar colour in, it just tends to bring the drawing together. And it can take away the stress of finding the exact right colour. We are going to go a bit darker, but it does tend to tie it all in nicely. It kind of pulls the eye in a good way. So adding this blue, you can see there's quite a lot of detail with trees or shrubs or whatever. So using a little scribbly hand, and then I'm going to work up into, I'm going to add a little bit of the cobalt turquoise, and then just add a little bit of that, especially to the top, really light hand. And we need to kind of glaze as well later on to smooth everything out. I'm going to add a little bit of this cobalt turquoise, which is, what number is that? 153. Into the bottom part, just to make that a little bit of a deeper blue, going around the edge. Even though we're going to cover this up with black, there's going to be a hint of it peeping through, which really does add to it. Going in with the helio blue reddish now, and I'm going to add a little bit more to the blue, especially the edges, because that's where most of the dark colours are, and it's where the trees are. And then adding some of that to the edge as well, and coming down to the bottom. I've noticed in the waterline, which I probably couldn't see on my PC, I'm just going to add some ivory into the kind of tear duct area down here. Don't forget we're trying to blend and get rid of the graininess, so the more layers we can put down the better. So adding that to the tear duct area, it's got a lot of brown going on and cream. I'm going to add this ivory to the bottom part of the reflection, that catch light. Same with that side. Starting to build up. They're looking really weird at the moment, but don't worry, we will keep building up. I'm going to go straight up to a cold grey 6 now. This number is 325. And I'm going to start building up the depth of the colour. So going into the smaller of the two eyes. I'm going to add this to the bottom section and start really building up through the layers, small circles again. Light hand, not pressing very hard at all. As the black's going to be the last colour we use. I tend to use black last because it's nice to build up through all the different colours, just to add lots of depth. And also the black smudges a lot. And I found, I don't know if you found, but it tends to almost sink into the paper a little bit. So you might have to add it again and again just to keep with the depth. So I'm thinking about the detail down in this tear duct area, not just going in and putting it all over, but I'm leaving little sections free of pencil if it's a little bit lighter. There's a light part here. So coming up to here, darkening up at the top. There's quite a dark part there. If you see anything that's going to help you to work out where you are, if you leave this drawing and come back, you want these little landmarks just to see where you are and then how you to continue, because sometimes it just takes so long to work out what's going on. And then coming down, just separating the two reflections with a little bit of pencil. Thinking about getting some really lovely crisp edges, because that's so important in the eye. Building up through the layers underneath. Oh, Nicola, you are a lifesaver. Once you're on live, look for the magic wand icon either on the top right corner or along the side of the other icon. You click the icon. Oh my goodness. See if I can do it. If it does not have a name, you're on a small rectangle of divider. Let me see. Right, you're going to have to see me close up again. Really sorry. It's saying you cannot rotate your phone whilst you are live. No, that's not it. I've just pressed something. A rectangle with a divider line in it. I can't get rid of what I'm doing now. Don't really want to do it live, that's the problem, just in case it cuts me off. Here we go, horizontal flip. Has it done it? Yay. Nicola, you are amazing. You are amazing. What would I do without you? Is that worked? I'm just checking. That will definitely help, won't it? I'll know that for next time now. I will do that. Brilliant. Yay! Oh my goodness. Thank you, Nicola. Amazing. That was a sip of tea. I ended up going into the effects and filters section, so it was end up with this really weird filter over the top. Have you ever done that? It's really strange. Looking at yourself with a filter on, you don't look like you at all. So carrying on with the Cold Grey 6. And just building up over here. I'm actually going to put my glasses on so I can see better. That's better. Right. Coming down the side as well. And then just thinking about the bottom part, just making sense of that. So coming down with a line. I always find with the eyes, you just need to be so crisp. You can't have anything looking too blurry. Otherwise they don't look beady at all. So just adding and then darkening up this little section. Coming right across that, looks like a kind of horizon line or a bit of land separating the tree. Trying not to make it a straight line. If I'm trying to do a random line, I always do a straight line, and if I'm trying to do a straight line, it always ends up a bit messy. So just trying to be a little bit less orderly in your lines. I'm just going to add a little tiny bit of detail into that top part. We will need to add a little bit more blue, and then I want to crispen up that edge. There's a slanty line here, and then it kind of curves towards the bottom. So I want to put that in, really subtle difference. And I want to do the same on the other side, going next to the little tear duct area, adding this top line in. The other thing to watch is that not necessarily the outer edge, but usually the inner edge is like a perfect circle, and it's so easy for it to look square. And it just pulls your eye. It just looks a bit off, and you can't work out why it looks off. And that's why, because obviously eyes are spherical. And actually it's not easy to draw a circle. They tend to go a little bit wonky. So I'm using this Cold Grey 6 to add all these edge details in. I would normally use a dark sepia, which you could use, but I just want to build up through the blacks with this kind of bluish, cool tone, because there's a lot of blue in the eye, and obviously you've got that sky as well. Let me just double check the comments. If anyone has any questions along the way, if you want to know what I'm doing a little bit more detail, or if you want to know why I'm doing it, then I will try to answer that as well. So I'm building up the Cold Grey 6 now, all around the edge and underneath. Coming next to that reflection in the sky. At this stage you probably think, oh, this is looking really odd. Mine's just looking quite strange. Is it ever going to come together? But what happens is, once you put the black in, suddenly it all starts looking right. So getting that curve again, really subtle curve, then down to there. There's like a cut off here. And then coming up to the top. Another thing to watch with eyes is that they usually have, actually they always have, a shadow coming down from the upper lid. So you can do that at the end, you can glaze, you can add a little bit of darkness. Dark sepia is good for that, or the Cold Grey 6 or the Warm Grey 6. But you tend to want that darkness coming down from above, because that's the shadow of the eyelid, or if some fur comes over the top. Have you ever noticed in any animal's eyes, if you're doing a bigger version of this, you can see their eyelashes reflected in the catchlight. So let me see how far those eyelids and eyelashes come over and cast a shadow on the top of the eye. Taking your time with this, I found if I can kind of give one tip for coloured pencils is to embrace the slowness, because if you rush and you're trying to speed them up, you don't notice as much detail. It's definitely not as much fun. You don't get that lovely mindful, relaxing, which is kind of why I started. I'm just going to go in with the blue a little bit more down below. And I always find if I slow down and try not to rush and just take my time and really embrace the fact that they are doing the opposite of what every day is mainly like. You know what it's like with work and all of the things you need to do. These are like the opposite of that. It's almost like the antidote to life. You can slow down and you can lose yourself for a couple of hours. I'm actually going to pick a different colour that I haven't mentioned because I can see it in this one. I'm going to go in with the Bista or the Raw Umber. So the Raw Umber, I wish they didn't do it in gold, 180 or 179. They're kind of next to each other. I'm just going to put a little bit of brown in here in the left hand. I can say left eye now, can't I? And in the bottom part of the right. Just want a little bit of a different colour. It's amazing. I've already drawn these eyes, but I'm noticing more in it. I'm just going to use that Raw Umber to go into the bottom reflection and add a little bit of colour in there. And there's some little lines going on. Okay, just double checking. I think we're going to go in with the black now. So you're going to see them come to life, which they don't at the moment. They look a little bit subdued. But this is the really fun part. I'm doing it at the same time so I don't smudge. So here we go. Ooh. You want to clean your hands before you go over your drawing. So the bottom part, here we go. So this is when it starts to pop. Small circles, taking your time. You might find that the tooth of the paper, you can feel that a little bit. And it might pull you off slightly, coming down here. And if it does, if the small circles aren't working, you can just go in with that back and forth and just fill in the gaps. Make sure you get rid of any fallout because that's what's going to smudge everything. So back and forth along the edge just to really get a lovely crisp line. And then the small circles in the middle. You can see how it's starting to make the eye pop a little bit now. Coming around the edge, making sure it's curved. I tend to find just going over the lines a couple of times. Coming up around here, we want to add it to the edge as well. This is all going to be black in a second. Darkening up that part next to the grey, next to the brown, the Raw Umber. Darkening up the edge around here. Just be careful. You want to be careful going that way. It doesn't matter too much about that way because that fur is going to be black anyway. So we can cover up any mistakes. Coming around the top now. You can see it's starting to look a little bit beady now, a little bit glassy. Darkening up the top, like I said, with that reflection of the brow coming over, and also if there's any eyelashes or anything in your reference photo. Coming down the side. So with this black, you're probably going to have to add quite a few layers. Don't press too hard because you'll find that you'll run out of tooth. You'll end up kind of damaging your paper, especially if your pencils are pretty sharp. You can end up cutting into the paper, which we don't want. So coming into the top of this reflection now, we can add little details in. We can come across and add that definition. coming up into some trees, little lines. You don't have to copy it exactly, you just want the look of that. Little lines down in that bottom section. There's some little branches that come over the top, just going to put those in. I want to add a little bit more of the cobalt turquoise to the edges, just to create more of a blue. And then we can blend that with the sky blue. Isn't it funny though that when you put colours in and you think you're going dark and then you put black next to it and all of a sudden they almost disappear. So just adding the sky blue and the turquoise back into that waterline, just to make it pop. If you find that your eyes aren't popping that much, even if you don't see any blue in the catchlight at all, if you put it in, it definitely just adds to the drama. There's my little brush. Got a soft brush always, just to brush away any fallout. Carrying on with the black, and we probably will need to add more black towards the end, just to make sure that we've got enough in there. Adding to that edge. That little tree branch is a little bit darker. Now we've got the blue in. And I just want to add some definite lines into that bottom section. Brilliant. Right, we can move on to the other one and then we can balance them out and see how they're looking. So again, this one might be a little bit clearer as it starts to pop, creating a nice rounded shape in the outer edge of the kind of iris. It doesn't really have much of a pupil to speak of. It all just looks really black. And you'll find with most animals like this, that's what you get, like a beady black. You don't get a defined pupil like you would in a cat or a dog or a horse. I'm filling in, again, small circles. I'm pressing a little bit harder towards the edge, just because I know I'm not going to put any more layers on, and I want a crisp line, like I said with that circle. I want it to be nice and crisp. Darkening up in the middle. And coming around here, there's a little step here, putting that in. Quite a definite line, and then the bottom section, it's a little bit thinner, there's that curve. And then darkening up at the top. Again, that real dark part at the top of the eye. And then coming round. I'm going to come round to the top reflection. There's that line through the middle. All of these things are going to really help to make it pop, these little details. Making sure that that section is thinner than the other section, than the other end, I mean. Starting to look beady. How are you getting on with yours? I'm just going to add, like I did the other side, a little bit more blue into the top part. I can come in a little bit more now. I'm a little bit braver and I know where things are. Come in, adding that sky, not going over the whole thing completely because we do want the kind of white light area to show, with the sky blue and a little bit of turquoise down here, especially at the bottom. Just does make it look even shinier. I want to add some detail into that bottom reflection, some little lines, and then we're going to go in with the trees again, so branches, and then coming up from the bottom, there's the odd one coming down from the top. Scribbly lines just to add a little bit more thickness. Again, you can only go as thick as your pencil nib. And then just a few more layers of black just to get rid of any graininess that's left. And then we can map in the outer edge as well. That top part coming around and down to the bottom. up to the sides, little lines that come into that waterline, and then darkening up. We don't want to go over that little tiny white circle, so that's why it's important to make it bigger than you think it needs to be, so that you've got the room to fill in around it so it still shows up. There's a line along the waterline there that I just want to put in. Just want to add a little bit of the raw umber to the top part here. This helps with the graininess again. A little bit of raw umber in that bottom catch light. And actually this side, going in with the Vista, it's a bit more brown. So again, that catch light, important that you don't, or that little tiny white dot within the black fur is going to really notice. So we're going to add a little bit of the Vista around the edge where I can see some brown. There's a little bit more brown in there. How are you feeling about your eyes? How are they looking? Let me know. If I can zoom in anymore and then zoom back out again. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to lift up my drawing. Just so that you can see. No, wrong way. It's a delay. There's a delay on the camera. Can you see that they're looking kind of beady and glassy? Hopefully you can. Move that down a little bit. I think what we can do is move on to the nose. Go in a little bit, and then, gosh, there's such a delay. There you go. Right, moving on to the nose. Let's see how much we can get done today. And then, let's see, there's so much more detail that I can see when I'm not using my computer. I'm just using my kneadable eraser. And for this one, I'm going to go in, there's a lot of blue again. And when I said about pulling in the rest of your picture, it does really make a difference if you add the colours in another place. So I'm going to go in with a cold grey. I'm going to use a cold grey one actually to start, just by getting a feel, mapping everything in. There's nothing on this nose that is lighter than this cold grey one, really. We've always got our Tombow Mono, if you've got one of these, to erase, the little stick erasers. They are amazing. So I'm just going to map in with the cold grey one the shape of the nose. Let's see if we can get this nose finished today. That would be good. So going all over with quite a few layers, big circles or big ovals. And then I'm going to map in where the catch lights are. I'm going to go in actually with quite a dark cold grey 6, with top cold grey. So what do we got? We've got a line down here that's important to make sure that that doesn't get filled in. So mapping that in all the way down. This part is pretty much dark, so we can fill that in. Just break the end off. Even though I'm trying to press really lightly, I so have a naturally heavy hand. So I've got to keep telling myself constantly, little scribbly line there, that I need to not press so hard. Coming down here, there's a little curve. You generally need to adjust your line art. I always do. I think, why did I put that there? So getting that lovely little bobble there, coming down, there's a little bobble here. Then there's another one coming down to the bottom. and then there's quite a definite line there, and then this part of the nose, the right hand side, is a tiny bit lower than the left, and then coming up the midline with that. Most animals have got this midline coming up through the centre, and we can actually start to colour in the darkest parts. Now we've mapped it in and we know where the darkest parts are, and come around to that part as well. Using the side of my pencil, I'm not going straight in, I'm using the side. So it's kind of glazing really, we're just colour blocking at this stage, just mapping in where all the colours are. I'm going to make that line a little bit wider at the bottom, and then at the top I'm going to use scribbly lines because it's all broken up. Just want to bring that up a little bit and then curve that colour around, bring it across the top, little scribbly lines. So you can see the darkness is starting to get lighter as it goes into that shine, that highlighted area, and then it's really dark towards the bottom. And then we've got a little bit down here which is actually obviously attached to that. It's like a little triangle that we don't want to lose. So map that in so that you don't completely cover that over, and then I can colour around it. Can add this cold grey 6 into the darkest part so I know where I'm going with it. Little bobble there. It's important that you just map all of this out. Towards the edge of the nose where the fur kind of comes, you want little sketchy lines. That little triangle section, and then coming up here. Oh, my door's just gone, I have to leave it outside. And then those little scribbly lines at the top again. Coming around here. If you open your circles here, you'll get lovely texture within the nose. It's a bit like dogs' noses when you get those little circles. So if you open the circles, just make the circles wider apart, you get that lovely texture, that subtle texture. Just going to have to leave it. And then coming around here. And then coming down here. And then making sure that we don't lose that mid-line. That's going to be a bit darker. Right, I'm going to go in with the blues again. I'm going to add the sky blue. I want to kind of be consistent with my colours. I want to keep it simple. I think a lot of the time you can end up just thinking, I have no idea what colour to choose, and it can kind of stop you in your tracks. You don't want that. So taking the pressure away, keeping it simple, we're just going to use the sky blue that we used in the eyes. Use it down this side as well. There's not really much blue there. I'm just going to build up a little bit of blue here, these outer edges of the shine, and coming up into the darker part as well. You'll find even though that you've used the top cold grey, it's not going to be as dark as you think it is to start. Once you start adding all the darker colours around it, suddenly it seems as though it needs to be so much darker. You usually have to go darker than you think. So adding that blue in, you're going with that cobalt turquoise again. So open circles, it's actually kind of all over, but darker towards the top right corner, and then this side as well. And then adding it a little bit to the darker areas. Remember, we kind of want to get rid of the graininess. To get to this part, I want to add a little bit more sky blue. And coming down here, there's a little bit of brown. You can see the reflection. So going in with the raw umber, again we use that, didn't we, in the eyes. So we can put that in at the bottom. And then we've got quite a lot of brown going on down here. We want to create that lovely curve. A little bit of brown at the bottom. There's a little bit of grey, so I'm going to go in with a cold grey one. I'm starting to hold all of my pencils in my hand. There's a little bit that I've missed out here. But because we're light, we don't need to worry about it. We can add that in. Just check the comments. Brilliant. Right, what should we do now? I think we'll start building up the dark colours, and then we know how dark to go with our highlight. So going in with the cold grey 6. And starting to, not using the end of my pencil, but starting to really build up the depth. Coming into that part a little bit. Kind of that line and that line kind of kiss each other in the middle, and then leave that gap. It's really dark at the bottom. And coming around. As we come to the bottom of the nose, it's a crisp line, so it's important that that's crisp as well, a bit like the eye. If there's any fuzziness, it will just look like it's not finished. So using the side of the tip just to darken everything up, especially at the bottom. You can feel confident that you can darken this part up as much as you need to. But what we want to do is create a shape, create a form of the nose. You don't want it to look like it's flat. You don't really want it to look like it's completely stuck on. We're trying to make it look like it's popping out of the paper. So we're creating a 3D shape from something that's completely 2D. So it's all an illusion. But that's what we're trying to do, create an illusion of it popping out. And that's what the values are really important for. The values, the lights and the darks, making sure it's as dark as it needs to be. Just missing that tiny little bit out. Because if you don't go dark enough, it just doesn't look. It just doesn't look as 3D. That's always a little bit nerve-wracking at the beginning. So circles, opening them up as we go towards that highlight in the nose, and then closing them again as we've got that darker part, the darker area. I've made the highlights of the nose again bigger than I want them to be, because then it gives me that leeway to be able to push the pencil in where it needs to go without completely getting rid of all of the lovely detail that we've put in. So filling in all the gaps, creating crisp lines where they need to be, coming up this side and the outer edge. And we're going to go in with the black last, like we did last time. Coming up here. Little gaps in the top, so we're seeing more detail now. Now we're getting into more layers. We can start to see where the detail is. Just goes to show, I thought I'd put quite a lot of blue in, and now it's disappearing really quickly. I want to come up a little bit of a slope going on there. A little bit of detail going on, a little bit of a reflection in the nose. And then darkening up again, a few more layers. Leaving that little bit out at the top. Coming across, a little bit darker there. That's a little bit darker. There, adding a few more layers. We're getting there. It's starting to build up. I'm going to add a bit more blue. And I'm going with the Helio Blue Reddish that we put in the top one, and I'm going to add that to the blue shine, especially in the top right hand corner. Small circles, little scribbly lines, and on that left side there, in through the middle. Really lovely dark blue into this section. A little bit of blue there. Then going in with the sky blue just to blend a little bit and to add. Don't really want any, although there's no white showing, you wouldn't think so because it looks white. And we've gone over the whole thing with the cold grey at the beginning. There's absolutely no white in there at all. Going in with the raw umber and just adding a little bit here. And then the Vista, just for a little bit more depth in the brown. And actually in the reflection, I'm going to go in with the dark sepia and just add a little bit more depth into that reflection in the nose. Just little scribbly lines. Again, it's just an illusion. And then going in with the blue, big circles. So it looks broken up. Actually taking my pencil off the paper for those circles. Okay, I feel like we're at the point where we can put the black in. I am going to sharpen it, just because I want control, really. So I'm going to go in where I know it's definitely dark, which is here. And you're going to see it kind of come to life again, just moving my screen so I can kind of watch. So you're going to see it really starting to pop. This is about going as dark as you need to go. And then coming down here. Don't want my paper to move. Making sure that line is nice and dark and is wider at the bottom. Part in there, that bottom section, using the side of my pencil, making sure the edges are nice and crisp, blowing away any fallout. This little bobbly bit there, that's nice and dark. So again, really crisp edge. Coming up here, coming down the side there, there's a little bit of a slope in the catch light, all the way along the bottom, that's really dark. Make sure they join. And then actually we can fill that gap in the middle using a light hand with this black. And then making sure that we're coming around. We've got quite a line there, looks like a triangle. Coming all the way around the top. There's a little bit towards the edge, little scribbly lines because it's starting to meet the fur on the outside. Coming up here, again scribbly lines as you meet the fur, because we don't want it to look like it's not part of the rest of the animal, that it's just this stuck on thing. We want it to look like it's part of it. Opening the circles a little bit as we come down here and closing them as you get further up. That little bit that's taken out. Coming across. Same on this side, opening up the circles as we come down, closing them up as we go up a little bit higher. There's a little bit of a dark part there, little scribbly lines. And just pulling that highlight in a little bit. Okay, I think that's looking like it's shiny anyway. We've got a dark indigo somewhere. I'm just going to add a little bit of that in. Sharpening again. I changed my blade on my sharpener today. This is the one I use, the M&R. It's just absolutely fab. I love this pencil sharpener, but it does have a double side. So if you hold it in the wrong place, it will cut your finger. And I have had that happen to me. So big circles again with this dark indigo. Into the top and the sides, coming down there a little bit. Just want to blend that blue slightly with the sky blue. Not completely, we don't want it to completely disappear. But just adding that. And then a little bit of detail in the kind of land area. I've got the dark sepia, I'm just going to darken that up just a tad, making sure that there's a defined line. That little point there is way too light, so I'm going to add my raw umber either side just to pull that in a little bit. And then I'm going to go over the top with my dark sepia just on the edges. Probably need a little bit more black, especially at the bottom here. Just getting my line nice and crisp. Coming up there, a little bit of a bulge, then coming down, crispening up that edge, and I'm going back and forward just to make sure it's nice and crisp. Just breaking up the edge a little bit. And then darkening up. I think you could keep tinkering forever, couldn't you? Just darkening up this little bit a second. Bigger circles if you want there to be more gaps. Smaller circles. And then just darkening that top bit a little bit. There, I think the nose is pretty much done. I'm going to lift up again. Hopefully you can see. Where's the camera? Doesn't focus very well, and the eyes. So you can see that there's blue all over, and that's going to give it a lovely shine overall. And we've got a little bit of brown in there. We've got the brown that ties into the eyes as well. And actually, what we're going to be doing tomorrow, because we've come to an hour already, can you believe it? What we're going to be doing is this is going to be really interesting, because actually there is fur texture in there, but it's really dark. So working out how to do that. And then we're going to be using our embossing tool to really show you how you can get the white hairs coming into the dark, which is always one of those things that people with that are using colour pencils find a bit tricky. I know I did at the beginning. So there's a way around that works really well, and it's really effective. And then how to get this lovely subtle white area of the face. This fur is going to be really interesting around the top, because that's really speckled, and it needs lots of different kind of techniques to make sure that it doesn't look muddy, because I've definitely done that before. And then the ears again are going to be quite interesting, I think, to say the least. So tomorrow we're going to really make a good start on the fur. I really hope you've enjoyed today. I'm just going to turn the camera around a bit. I've probably got pencil on my face. I usually do. When I look in the mirror after I've been working, I've got smudges all over my face. Obviously, I'm a face toucher. I really hope you've enjoyed today. I hope yours are looking good. Please do share in the group, because it's always nice, again, to have that support and to feel that sense of belonging. It's really important. So share in the group, be brave. Nobody in the group is going to judge you. There's no negativity allowed in the group at all. It's all there for I bet I'm upside down. Am I upside down? I bet I am. Probably. Let me turn me around. Let me just double check. Am I upside down? Or was I upside down? Oh, technology, I love it so much. Yeah, I'm upside down. Look at that. My goodness. So, I hope you've enjoyed today. I hope you've had a really good time. I definitely have. I've enjoyed this so much. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck in with the fur tomorrow. That's going to be lovely. I really am tempted to do it, but I won't. I will leave it. And we will do it tomorrow. So I really look forward to seeing you tomorrow if you can join me. So it's going to be tomorrow and Saturday. We're going to be doing an hour or so each day. Can't wait for you to, can't wait for that. Can't wait to carry on. And I really look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I hope you have a lovely day, whatever you're up to. And I'll see you in the morning, 10:30 tomorrow for day 2. Lots of love. Bye for now.